There are moments when everything changes, not because the world around us has changed, but because something inside us has finally awakened. And maybe, without realizing it, you're at that exact point right now. A silent but powerful point, where the invisible begins to take shape and the answer that seemed far away comes clearly into view. Something greater is happening, a force that cannot be explained by logic alone, but which can be felt deeply by anyone who has walked difficult roads and still decided to trust. You've come this far for a reason. This is not just another piece of content. It's a reminder, a call for you to remember who you really are, someone destined for wholeness, someone who wasn't made to survive, but to thrive. If this touches something inside you, comment, "I recognize my moment." This simple statement begins to move your energy. There's a subtle law that few people know. The universe doesn't connect with loose words, but with the real vibration that comes from the heart. You can repeat affirmations 1,000 times, but if you don't feel the truth in them, nothing changes. On the other hand, it only takes a second of deep conviction to change everything around you. Have you ever experienced this? That feeling of sudden certainty, as if a part of you knows without a doubt that something is about to happen? This certainty doesn't come from a mind. It comes from the soul. And when it appears, it's because the field has already begun to reconfigure itself. Push and share this video with someone who needs reminding that there is still time, there is still a way, there is still a possibility. The flow of abundance is not exclusive. It doesn't choose by appearance, status, or background. It responds to energy, and anyone can activate it, including you, if you're willing to change on the inside before demanding change on the outside. You don't need to force prosperity. You need to allow it to manifest. This starts with a simple gesture. Stop. Stop fighting the tide. Stop feeding thoughts of lack. Stop acting as if the universe is behind you. It's not. It's watching your readiness. And that's where many people go wrong. They ask, but they don't prepare to receive. They wish, but continue to vibrate fear. They affirm, but they don't believe. And the universe can only deliver what it finds room for. Seedling comment, "I prepare my field." That's the real start of the harvest. There's an old story about someone who was on the verge of losing everything. No money, no way out, no hope. But even so, when asked what he still had, he replied, "A small jar of oil." The answer seemed insignificant, but it was enough. She was told to collect empty containers. And with what little she had, she began to fill jars. And more jars. The oil didn't stop. It flowed until they were all full. And so she paid off her debts and began a new life. This story is not about religious miracles. It's about spiritual codes, about recognizing that what you have now, however small it may seem, could be the key to everything that is to come. Have you ever thought about what you still have? Maybe it's not money. Maybe it's an idea, a talent, an experience, an intuition, something that the universe has already placed in your hands, just waiting for you to value it so that it can begin to multiply. True prosperity begins with recognizing what is already there. And that's what changes your frequency. Because the universe doesn't respond to complaints. It responds to gratitude. It moves where there is awareness. It expands where there is faith. Like this content, if it's reminding you of something you've forgotten. Now look around. What is trying to be born in your life? A new phase? An opportunity? A relationship? A different path? Nothing comes about by chance. Every detail is part of a bigger puzzle. And sometimes, what seems small today is exactly the beginning of something huge. But to see this, you need to be at peace. And peace is not the absence of problems. It's the decision to trust even in the midst of chaos. Because trust is more powerful than trying to control. And true faith is acting on the basis of something you can't yet see. Can you feel it? Cyclone if so. Write in the comments, "I choose to trust even without seeing." That's an affirmation of strength. You don't have to wait for everything to align before you start. The universe doesn't act like a demanding boss, but like a willing partner. And when you take the first step with intention, it responds with paths. Often, these paths are not obvious. They call for courage. They demand change. They challenge old patterns. But they also release the flow that was blocked. That's why abundance is less about receiving and more about becoming. Becoming someone who believes, who acts, who serves, who shares, who respects themselves, who respects money as energy, and who understand that prospering is a divine right, not a prize for the few. Loudspeakers, send this video to someone you want to see thrive. You could be the boost they need. And now, before we close this section, one last question. If the answer you've been waiting for arrived tomorrow, would you be ready? This is not a rhetorical question. It's an invitation to prepare, because abundance is coming. And it will come to the extent of your willingness to receive it with maturity, with gratitude, with humility, and with responsibility. Close your eyes for a moment. Take a deep breath and say, with true intention, "I am ready. I receive wisely. I manage with balance. I share with generosity. And I grow with purpose." This is the identity of someone who lives in real abundance. Glowing star if this statement struck you. Write in the comments, "I am that person," and declare it with force. Your time has come, and it all starts now. There is an instant when everything changes, not because the world around you has changed, but because internally you have finally accepted what has always been yours. Abundance is not an achievement. It is a memory, and when you recognize it, it returns. At this moment, what is coming to you is not just financial prosperity. It's clarity. It's stability. It's the opportunity to live without the constant weight of will it work out. And that in itself is a form of wealth. Perhaps you're still wondering how all this fits into your story. Maybe you wonder if it's really for you. And that's when you have to remember, the universe doesn't offer signs to those who aren't ready. If you're reading this now, it's because your soul has already said yes, even if your mind is still in doubt. If it makes sense, write down, "My soul has already said yes." This subtle affirmation begins to align the mind with the internal decision. Now, think about everything you've experienced, the ups and downs, the days when it seemed like everything was going to work out, and the moments when everything fell apart. At each of these points, something in you remained firm, an invisible thread of hope. And it is this thread that has now become a bridge. The bridge that connects what you have asked for with what you are ready to receive. But crossing that bridge requires something that few are willing to offer: continuous trust. Not that faith that only appears when everything is fine, but the kind that endures even in the face of silence. The one that remains even without evidence. Push and share this video with someone you know who needs to trust more in the invisible. You could be the point of transformation in someone's journey. Abundance is silent. It doesn't announce itself with fireworks. It settles in like someone who arrives slowly, respecting the time of those who receive it. And that's why many people don't notice it. They're expecting something grandiose when the miracle is in the details. It's in that message that arrives out of the blue. That opportunity that seems simple, but has immense potential. That person who comes up with an unexpected proposal. In the subtle signs that, if you ignore, disappear as if they had never existed. Seedling, if you've experienced something like this, say, "I recognize the details." This keeps your perception sharp. The universe doesn't operate with human logic. It doesn't need obvious paths. It creates accesses where no one else can see. But for this to work, you need to step out of the role of controller and take on the role of co-creator. Controlling is trying to predict everything. Co-creating is trusting while acting. To control is to demand proof. Co-creation is accepting time. To control is to be afraid of losing. Co-creation is knowing that what is yours will always find its way. If this has touched you, write down, I choose to co-create. This change of position alters your entire frequency. And maybe you'll say, but I've tried everything. And that's fine, because sometimes the everything you've tried so far was just part of the preparation. The real movement begins when you stop insisting on the wrong door and start building a new entrance. Your tiredness is not a sign of failure. It's just evidence that you went as far as you could with the tools you had. And now it's time for new tools, new ideas, new paths. Now it's time to allow abundance to find you. Not because you forced it, but because you finally made space. Compass say, I'm ready to make space. Liberation begins with this decision. There's a reality that is already ready for you. It already exists in another layer of time, as if waiting for you to reach the version of yourself that can inhabit it. And this process doesn't require physical effort. It requires vibrational reprogramming. You won't reach your new reality with the old mindset. You won't experience freedom while carrying the traumas of scarcity. You won't receive miracles with the same old fear. That's why transformation must come before manifestation. And this transformation begins when you choose to trust even when you don't yet understand. When you choose to give thanks before you receive. When you choose to follow even without a map. Loudspeaker share this video with someone who needs to break out of the old pattern. You could be the bridge to the new in someone's life. Now imagine this. You wake up and feel, with your eyes still closed, that something has changed. There hasn't been an extraordinary event, but there is a lightness, a different sensation. Your body relaxes. Your heart calms down. The mind quiets. This sensation is real. It's the body grasping something that logic doesn't yet understand. It's the manifestation beginning to show itself in the subtlest frequencies before it becomes visible. And that's when many give up because they don't see it. But you won't, because now you know that the invisible is as real as the tangible, and that everything that matters begins within. Glowing star comment, I feel before I see. That's vibrational wisdom. Everything you want already exists, but you need to become compatible with it. And compatibility doesn't come from will. It comes from frequency. How do you behave today? As someone who is waiting for a miracle, or as someone who is already living the answer? The way you speak, think, react, all of this communicates your vibration. And it is this vibration that shapes the events to come. So speak like someone who is prosperous. Think like someone who has already received. Act like someone who isn't afraid of the future. That's the key. That's the password. Speech balloons say, my frequency has already changed. That seals the new code. What if today was your turning point? What if at this very moment, things were being reorganized so that you could receive what you've been asking for? Would you be ready? Preparation doesn't start when everything arrives. It starts now, in the silence, in the invisible, in the heart. So close your eyes, take a deep breath, and say to yourself, I'm ready. I trust. I receive. I walk lightly. And I allow abundance to flow into me and through me. That's your new foundation. This is your new reality. It has already begun. Abundance doesn't arrive suddenly. It approaches slowly, like someone who respects space, like someone who asks before entering. It sees if you're ready, if the ground is clear, if your heart is open. Because abundance doesn't invade, it's invited. And now, at this moment, something is being activated within you. A new consciousness, a higher vibration, a silent permission telling the universe, I'm ready. And with that permission, the gears of manifestation begin to turn. You don't need to know how everything will turn out. The mind wants logic, but the soul understands vibration. And the soul is telling you that harvest time has arrived. Sparkles if this phrase struck you, comment. The harvest has begun. This strengthens your surrender even more. Now notice the signs. They are subtle. an unexpected email, an idea that comes to you while you're distracted, an invitation that seems small but has something different about it, a chance encounter that brings an unlikely proposal. None of it is chance. Everything is being synchronized with precision. But the signs don't last forever. They appear and wait for you to respond. Because the universe respects free will. It offers but does not force. It guides but does not push. You need to say yes. Yes with words. Yes with attitude. Yes with a willingness to change. Pushpins send this content to someone who also needs to learn to say yes to opportunities. Maybe this is the boost they've been waiting for. Now it's time to understand something essential. Abundance is not a prize. It is the consequence of a consistently maintained vibration. It doesn't respond to desperation or haste. It manifests itself in coherence. Your thoughts, your emotions, your actions, they all need to be in harmony. It's no good wishing for wealth and vibrating scarcity. It's no good claiming success and cultivating fear. There's no point in asking for freedom and remaining stuck in old patterns. External change only happens when the internal frequency changes first. Seedlings say, I align my frequency with abundance. This alignment is the real turning point. And if you've already noticed that something in your life is adjusting, even if it's not clear yet, know this. It's the field reorganizing itself. It's like a jigsaw puzzle where the pieces start to fit together. What seemed out of place begins to make sense. Yesterday's pain becomes today's strength. The no that frustrated you so much reveals the right path. The weight that seemed unfair now shows that it was protection. And then you begin to be grateful not only for what has arrived, but also for what hasn't. Because now you understand everything cooperated to make it happen. Because now you understand everything worked together for this moment. Cyclone, if you've experienced this feeling of clarity after the storm, write down, now everything makes sense. This awareness changes everything. At this point, something new needs to be born in you. The decision to thrive with purpose. Not just to have, but to multiply. Not to accumulate, but to elevate. Not to prove, but to transform. The universe delivers with greater intensity to those who understand the function of abundance. It is not an end, it is a tool. A tool to relieve, to create, to restore, to illuminate. And when you understand this, something changes in the way you relate to money. It stops being a problem and becomes a partner. It flows more lightly. It appears more often. It responds more quickly. Because you finally stopped fearing it and started respecting it. If this has touched your heart, say, I respect the energy of money. This awareness opens new doors. And now, I want to invite you to a simple but powerful moment. Close your eyes. Breathe deeply. Imagine yourself walking along a clear road with no stones, no obstacles. You are light. The sun is touching your skin. You feel you don't have to run. You feel you don't have to prove anything. You just walk. And as you walk, things start to happen. You meet people who offer you help without asking for anything in return. You hear an inner voice telling you exactly what you need to do. You find a table set with everything you wish for. You sit down, you breathe, and you understand. This is no dream. This is your new reality. This image is not fantasy. It's frequency. And the longer you hold on to this feeling, the faster it will become concrete. Because the universe doesn't respond to what you say. It responds to what you vibrate. Loudspeaker, share this video with 3 people you love. This energy needs to expand. And now, a reminder that cannot be forgotten. Your prosperity is not small. It won't come in crumbs. It won't come in parts. It will come whole, and it will come with force. Because you have prepared yourself. Because you cleaned up what needed to be cleaned up. Because you decided that you would no longer live in the almost. No more almost having, almost getting, almost getting. Now it's time for fullness, of completeness, Wholeness. Glowing star if you declare this for your life. Write down, I receive in full. That phrase is a decree. And when you receive it, don't forget, be a channel. Help someone. Donate time, attention, affection, guidance. Use what you receive to create more life around you. Because the more you become a channel, the more the flow increases. The more you give, the more you receive. And the more you serve, the more you grow. This is the mathematics of abundance. It multiplies when it is shared. And finally, hold on to this truth. You're not starting from scratch. You're starting from the exact point where everything lines up. You already have history, experience, courage, and wisdom. You've seen what doesn't work. You've already felt what you no longer want. Now it's time to move with awareness, with presence, with intention, because right now doors are opening and the universe is saying, this is it. Close your eyes one more time, breathe in, and repeat. I am the source of prosperity. Everything I need is already coming to me. I receive with gratitude. I multiply with love. I live with fullness. Speech balloon comment. The universe said yes. YW check mark like it if you felt that confirmation. Incoming envelope, share it with those you want to see thrive. Bell subscribe to keep this vibration active with you.